divided into two. The court's original jurisdiction as enshrined in Section 232 of the Constitution and its appellate jurisdiction. In its original jurisdiction, the court entertains matters relating to dispute between the Federation and a state, dispute between states, as well as any dispute involving question bordering on law or fact on the existence of a legal right. Dispute between National Assembly and any state, as well as National Assembly and any state House of Assembly. These are some of the reasons the docket of the court is full with all manner of cases. In 2020-2021 legal year alone, the court entertained 681 cases with several backlog of cases yet to be attended to.
Even as we celebrate these successes recorded in past legal year in the disposal of cases, all Nigerians need to be admonished on the imperative of being less litigious and be more disposed to alternative dispute resolutions, to free the courts of this unnecessary overstretching of both human and material resources. It is not every dispute that must find its way to the court, and it is not every matter that must come to the Supreme Court. Our laws have to be amended to make most appeals to terminate at the Court of Appeal, which is competent to handle such appeals. Now, the court is also equipped, that is, the Court of Appeal is also equipped with the right materials and manpower to adjudicate effectively and resourcefully. It has been said at different occasions, within and outside our shores, that Nigerians are the most litigious people on earth. Ideally, this uncharitable remark should ordinarily give us serious cause for concern. Yet we seem to feel unperturbed about it. And every little disagreement, we rush to court. And in every lost case, especially in the political class, we rush to appeal courts, even up to the Supreme Court, no matter how infinitesimal the issue might be. In most cases, the judicial officers are always at the receiving end with fusillade of vitriolic beings heaped on them, and even threats to their lives.
I have always said that world over, Nigerian judiciary is rated very high. And if you look at the volume of work they do compared to what happened in other jurisdictions, you know that they are carrying a lot on their head, and they have done very well in the circumstances. You discover that the statistics given in terms of the cases entertained by the Supreme Court alone, it was incredible, you know, that the Supreme Court of Nigeria entertained 681 cases. 681 cases, you know, and civil appeals, criminal appeals, motions, and what have you. And substantially, you know, judgments were delivered in those, you know, appeals. So sometimes you wonder how do they cope? You know, so it is their desire to dispense justice, to deal with the work, no matter how much it is, and substantially, they have done very well, despite this enormity of the cases they had. So this is a great achievement, and they should be commended.
I would give credits to the judiciary for what they have done so far, even in the outgoing year, because they have a lot of limitations. To be able to perform up to the level which they have, one must give them credit. The workload in the Supreme Court is monumental, and that's also part of the suggestions I have proposed. The Supreme Court, the workload is heavy for three reasons principally. One, there's almost a right of appeal in respect of all decisions of the Court of Appeal. It goes from the High Court to the Court of Appeal to the Supreme Court. And then, secondly, we have appeals against interlocutory decisions, which constitute a major bulk of the cases being handled by the Supreme Court. And then, thirdly, election cases, electoral cases, pre-election and post-election appeals. Those cases crowd the cost lists of the docket of the Supreme Court. I am aware that even the Chief Justice of Nigeria, the Attorney General of the Federation, the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, they all complain about delay in dispensation of justice. It's a big problem. And a situation where a case can take up to 30, 40 years to go from the trial High Court to the Supreme Court does not augur well for the development of this country. And so many things are responsible. We have issues of funding, we have personal issues, we have, most importantly, constitutional inhibitions that have made it difficult for the judiciary to be able to fully express itself and determine matters expeditiously as we expect. If you look at the structure, the same regular courts deal with election petitions, particularly at the appellate level. At the trial level, is High Court judges and some customary Court of Appeal judges, grand caddies, that's at that level, they deal with the election tribunals. But if you appoint those ones from those courts to go and determine election petitions, the cases they have been doing will suffer. So if you take a judge out of his regular courts for 6 months, all those cases will not go on. So dispensation of justice at that level will suffer. And it goes across the entire country. And even at the appellate level, the Court of Appeal, pre-election and post-election cases like election petitions, once the season comes, the Court of Appeal can hardly deal with any other case than pre-election appeals and election petition appeals. Sometimes out of a cycle of 4 years, these cases can take, let's say, 1.5 years out of that period, within which period they will do no other matter. And yet, during that period, appeals are being filed. So it will pile up the courts, the cost list of the courts. And then Supreme Court also the same. Once is that season, pre-election appeals, election petition appeals, the cases are so many that they hardly have time for any other cases.
With the bulk of cases filed over the years in the docket of the court and other ones still being filed, what is the way forward to achieve quick dispensation of justice at the apex court?
It's equally sad to note that Nigeria has inadvertently earned a reputation for churning out several laws that are either partially implemented or not implemented at all. The indicating narrative must change from this moment, as I am very optimistic that concerned effort should be made in the bringing to the conference table the various stakeholders in the administration of criminal justice in the country with a view to identifying those notable impediments to the success of most of the laws in the justice sector. It is interesting to note that the administration of criminal justice proposals canvassed a merger of the provisions of the two principal legislations, Criminal Procedure Code, CPC, applicable in the southern Nigeria, into one principal federal act with a view to applying it uniformly in all federal courts across the entire federation, and at the same time reserve the subsisting criminal procedures. Even though we see Abuja as a major boost to the criminal justice system in the country, the effective implementation of its provisions, like I stated earlier, has remained a major cog in the wheel of progress. In one of its provisions, for instance, the Act sets time limit for carrying out investigations, arraignments, and prosecutions of criminal suspects. In the same vein, it mandates the police to record every confessional statement offered a suspect to the police in the course of investigation in video, or the statement should be endorsed by a legal practitioner as a way of increasing the incidence of use of force or torture to compel suspects to confess to crimes that they may not have committed. In all sincerity, are we really adhering to these provisions and the general tenets of the Act? We urgently need to conscientize ourselves and do a cursory self-assessment to turn a new leaf, because we cannot keep repeating the same method and expect to get a different result.
What do we do to address this problem? Part of the proposals which I have made, one is that there should be separate electoral courts to take away electoral cases from the regular courts. That is, both from the trial high courts, that is, we should have electoral high courts to deal with pre-election cases and post-election cases like election petitions that are being handled by the election tribunals. And that court will also have jurisdiction to entertain cases in respect of crimes, that's electoral offenses, to take care of electoral offenses. These are the areas that electoral high court will have jurisdiction over. And then appeals against decisions of that court should go to electoral appeals court, which will entertain appeals directly from that court. And then a final appellate court, electoral Supreme Court, that will take care of appeals from the electoral appeals court to the electoral Supreme Court. That way, and it will be final. Its determination of electoral Supreme Court will be final in respect of all electoral issues. So that way, would have moved out of the docket of the Supreme Court cases that were overburdening the Supreme Court and terribly slowing down the dispensation of justice at that level.
The government of President Muhammad Buhari is doing a lot in terms of supporting the judiciary. As I would always say, more should be done. There should be improvement in their welfare, the salaries, if you look at the record, I think their salaries have not been reviewed for a very long time. So if the salary is reviewed, upward, and generally, make the environment conducive for them to dispense justice, because they are doing very well. They are sacrificing so much for this country. Their health, should be have a Supreme Court. It's not an easy thing, So generally, as I said, they have done very well, and I commend their sacrifices, and I appeal to government to continue to give them the necessary support to do more.
Issues have been raised here today, but I believe that we'll continue to work on these issues. One of the very important issues raised here has to do with the welfare of judicial officers. I believe that this is something that also requires the collaboration of people in all the three arms of government. On our own part, in the legislature, we'll do everything to ensure that we take the necessary legislative action, that will enhance the welfare of our judicial officers.
The 2021 practice direction by the Chief Justice of Nigeria, Justice Ibrahim Tanko Muhammad, is equally geared towards ensuring speedy dispensation of justice. While frowning at the invasion of the residence of Justice Mary Peter Odili, the court is also evolving a way to check the issuance of search warrant and warrant of arrest.
No law permits anyone to invade, subdue, or overawe any Nigerian citizen in his or her residence with a flimsy, fraudulently obtained search.
The legal practitioners commended the justices of the court for the feat achieved during the 2020-2021 legal year. The issuance of conflicting interim orders by Court of Coordinate Jurisdiction, especially over political matters, attracted the attention of the National Judicial Council during the year. During the year under review, 3 judges were sanctioned for not being circumspect in their decisions. Olabode Arewa tells us more.
The National Judicial Council (NJC) has barred 3 judges of courts of coordinate jurisdiction from being promoted to higher cadres for a period of 2 to 5 years whenever they are due for such promotions. This action was taken against the affected judges because they granted conflicting ex parte orders in cases involving the same parties and the same matters. This resolution was reached at the emergency meeting of the NJC, chaired by the Deputy Chairman of the Council, Justice Mary Peter Odili. The action was taken despite the absence of any written petition or allegation of corruption leveled against the affected judges. But the Council initiated the investigation to understand the circumstances that led to the spate of ex parte orders. Part of the recommendations of the investigation committee set up on the judges recommended that Justice Okogbule Basam of the High Court of Rivers State should be barred from elevation to a higher bench for 2 years whenever he is due for such promotion. The investigation committee found that Justice Basam failed to exercise due diligence in granting an ex parte order in a suit between Ibiawuchi Ernest Alex and 4 others versus Prince Uche Secondus and another. The judge was also issued a letter of warning. The council also resolved that Justice Nusrat Umar of the High Court of Kebbi State should be barred from promotion to a higher bench for 2 years whenever she is due, having found fundamental defects and non-compliance with the law. she was said to have issued an ex parte order in a case between one Yahya Usman and two others versus Prince Uche Secondus and others, which made the council to issue her a warning letter on her conduct. As for Justice Edem Itakufre of the High Court of Cross River State, he will be denied promotion for 5 years over his abuse of the court process. This is in relation to a suit between Kanwani and Uche Secondus, for which the judge granted an ex parte order. It was also said to have been issued a warning letter to be careful in the future, while it was placed on a watch list for 2 years.
That's our package for this week. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.
Don't forget to send in your messages.
There's a difference between picking, child, and issue. That is can do more with less people.
If we have a better way of addressing these issues, taking care of...
Congratulations, you were able to sign Timo Werner from RB Leipzig.
So you take water before your workout.
People have used their phone, using TikTok to do this like
Should I go for test?
A lot of people don't even have resources.
I'm Cecil, and this is the Medley Show on NTN.
There's just something about speed and simplicity, but that speed and simplicity can be deceiving when you get behind the wheel. 30-year-old Emily sent this text message to her husband: "I love you and I'll try to make you happy." Moments later, Emily was killed when her car slammed into the back of a tractor trailer. 18-year-old Midi was also texting when his car slammed into the back of a truck at 80 miles per hour. His final text was,
"Driving and Facebooking is not safe. Ha ha."
You probably think that this thing can happen to you. You are not alone. 55% of young adult drivers say that it is easy to text and drive. 3/4 of the same young adults feel that they are really good texting behind the wheels. Reality is, they are all delusional. That quick look at your phone takes longer than you think. 5 seconds are really long. Imagine you're driving on the road and someone suddenly covers your face for 5 quick seconds, like this. You will probably feel very lucky if you didn't crash. But you chose to take your sight off the road just like that anytime you're sending or reading a text. Texting and driving is fast becoming the leading cause of teens' death on the road world over, surpassing even drinking and driving. But if you think dying in a car crash is the worst thing that happens to you, I tell you it is not. You can survive after you've killed someone else. Imagine spending the rest of your life knowing you killed someone just because of a text message. Now imagine going to jail just because of text message. Still think it will never happen to you? Still think you're the special one? There are so many that have been found guilty of texting while driving. But you can make a difference, just like so many young people have vowed not to text and drive. Leave your cell phone alone while driving. If you must send a text message, pull off the road into a parking lot or anywhere that is safe. No text is so important that it should cost your life or the life of someone else. You are not different. You are not special. You're just another accident waiting to happen if you do not desist from texting and driving. So, don't text and drive.
Issues in the sports sector remain one of the most debated among Nigerians due to the passion, followership, government involvement, impact on Nigeria's external image and our national life in the sports parliament. The NTAE offers Nigerians deep views on issues with experts in the sports sector, offering in-depth analysis, hindsight, insight and foresight towards elevating Nigerian sports to the zenith on the floor of the sports parliament. Sports Parliament, a unique platform for sports discussions, showing live on the NTA. Keep a date with the parliamentarians.
The eyes have it.
Information is power. Everyone wants power. So feel powerful with the NTA News mobile app, the one-stop information center. Real news at your fingertip. Be the first to report by uploading first-hand information on the U-Report link. And be the first to know by simply clicking on any of the links on the sidebar for headlines, domestic and foreign news, economy, security, politics, sports, and more. Stream live on your smartphone and tablets and stay connected. It's pretty easy. Simply download NTA News app from your Google Play Store and you're good to go. NTA News mobile app, your access to real-time information.
NTA, you can't beat the reach.
Federal government orders national flag to fly at half-mast in honor of former head of interim government, late Chief Ernest Shoneko.
United Nations Secretary General formalizes appointment of Amina Mohammed as Deputy Secretary General of the UN.
National Identity Management Commission reassures Nigerians of the security of the nation's database.
And on Good Morning Nigeria today, we examine science infrastructure as key to national development.
Science and technology have been identified as a major parameter in categorizing non-industrialized nations and industrialized ones, and of course from a dependent economy to a self-reliant one, and from an import-oriented economy to an export-oriented one.
Indeed, science and technology is a major factor in, of course, determining the quality of life of a people and the status of any country. And, of course, enhanced technology would continue to remain a measuring yardstick in identify, of course, world economic leaders.
Now, it is interesting to know that a majority of human technological improvements were achieved by chance, trial and error, or as a spontaneous inspiration, depending on the scientific research findings towards immediate technical application, with the ultimate essence of creating fair solutions for humanity and super speed.
All right, now science through research contributes to technology and provides new knowledge which serve as a direct source of ideas for new possibilities. It also utilizes scientific findings and knowledge for practical purposes that is intended for production of goods and services.
Now, the story of science and technology in Nigeria appears not to be too sweet, if you like, to the hearing, for its discordant themes in innovation and frustrative policies and implementation, poor funding and inconducive environment for innovation and practicality due to lack of infrastructure, lack of adequate research studies, political instability, lack of political will, manpower, and of course expertise, which are all at low levels.
So what has been hampering the attainment of our country's attainment to industrialized nation level? What can be done to launch Nigeria into the Committee of Industrialized Nations? Well, experts are calling for a rethink of the state of the nation's science infrastructure, which Good Morning Nigeria will today beam its searchlight on. And we're exploring science infrastructure as a key to national development on today's edition. So I welcome you on this note to the program, wherever you're watching from. I am Claire Adilabo Abdul Razak, and it's my pleasure to say Happy New Year, Kiran. I haven't seen you.
Oh yeah, Happy New Year to you as well. And I am Kiran Umayo. You're welcome on board. This broadcast is coming to you live on the network service of the NTA. And up next is our complimentary segment, of course, beginning with the morning news. And here we have my friend Musbao Danwahab. Musbao, I know you must be happy about the result of the match yesterday between Nigeria and Egypt.
Certainly so. Just like every other Nigerian, we all happy to see our team doing very good, and this is the kind of Super Eagles Nigerians want to see. You don't sit back, you go for it. We would like to see that again and again. Yeah. Very well. Now let's take the news. President Muhammadu Buhari has received with profound sadness the news of the death of a former head of the interim national government, Chief Ernest Shonika, on behalf of the federal government. The president extends deepest condolences to Chief Shonika's wife, Margaret, loved ones, as well as the government and people of Ogun State. As an internationally respected statesman, President Buhari affirms that with courageous wisdom, Chief Shonika left his flourishing business career to become the head of government at a delicate time when the country needed someone of his calm manner and pedigree to save the ship of state from sinking. The president notes that Chief Shonika demonstrated to all that the love for country and commitment to her development, peace and unity transcend the trappings of office and the transient nature of political power. President Buhari believes that Nigeria owes a great debt to Chief Shonika, who he describes as a peacemaker or even the twilight of his lifetime, never stopped believing and working for a prosperous and democratic country. The president prays that the memory of a departed head of government will remain a blessing to Nigeria, even as he finds perfect peace with Almighty God. Meanwhile, following the death of a former head of interim government, late Chief Ernest Shonika, President Muhammadu Buhari has directed that the national flag be flown at half-mast, effective from Wednesday, 12th, Friday, 14th January 2022, as a mark of respect for the former head of state. And President Muhammadu Buhari has formally endorsed the establishment of a Nigerian Diaspora Investment Trust Funds, a private sector investment window for Nigerians in the diaspora to directly support investments in the country. This was while receiving a compendium entitled Plus 600 Diaspora Icons at 60, published by the Nigerians in Diaspora Commission.
Who live at home alone, but of every Nigerian irrespective of the place of domicile. On behalf of the Federal Government of Nigeria, I call on all Nigerians to remain patriotic and committed to the highest ideal of contributing to the Nigerian project of the Nigeria of our collective dreams.
The United Nations Secretary-General Antonio Guterres has officially announced that Amina Mohammed of Nigeria will remain the Deputy Secretary-General of the World Body for another term.
The Secretary-General expressed his appreciation for the Deputy Secretary-General's leadership of the UN Sustainable Development Group and her determination to reinforce the collective results and maximize the impact of the UN development system.
Back in Nigeria, Vice President Professor Yemi Osinbajo has received in audience the Grace Foreign Minister Nicholas Dendias, who is on official visit to Nigeria.
We think that the opportunities are just limitless for cooperation. And also to thank you very much and to thank the government of Greece for the donation of vaccinations. The pandemic remains remains a major threat for the entire world. And we have taken very serious steps in ensuring that we are protected and protect our populace as much as possible and collaborate with the rest of the world.
The National Identity Management Commission, NIMC, reassures that its servers are fully optimized at the highest international security levels as custodian of the most important national database for Nigeria. In a statement by the head of corporate communication, Kayode Adegoke, the Director General of NIMC, Aliyu Aziz, reiterates that NIMC has gone to great length to ensure the nation's database is adequately secure and protected, especially given the spate of cyber attacks on networks across the world. The Commission and its infrastructure are certified to the ISO Information Security Management System Standard, which is revalidated annually and not on the AWS Cloud platform on any public cloud, in spite of availability of the NIMC mobile app to the public for accessing via NIN on the go. The Commission assures the public that it will continue to uphold the highest ethical standards in data security on behalf of the federal government and ensure compliance with data protection and privacy regulations. Aziz adds that the NIMC mobile application has no database within the app, nor does it store information in flat files. Astori building, housing a church Salvation Ministries at Opanam Road has collapsed, trapping the worshippers, including children. It happened around 5:30 p.m. on Tuesday, but efforts are still ongoing to rescue the victims. Some have been rescued alive and taken to the hospital, while few bodies have been removed from the rubble. The rescue team includes officers from SEMA, Fire Service, Red Cross, Ministry of Health, Nigerian Police Force, and good-spirited Nigerians as they continued strategizing on how to rescue others. The Secretary to the Delta State Government, Patrick Uka, led the Delta State Executive Council members to the scene. The affected building is said to be under renovation. That's a bit of the news, and Good Morning Nigeria. We'll bring you more in the course of the day. But now let's take a break, and the program continues in just a moment with Kirian and Claire.
COVID-19, that is the black swan of the century, has actually hit the whole world very hard, even the strongest of economies, and Nigeria was not spared. But due to the proactive stance and steps that the president has taken, we've been able to come out quickly. The president has consistently said we must invest in infrastructure. Even as we're investing in human capital, that we must invest in infrastructure, because at the end of the day, that is what will bring about a sustainable economic growth. So the president has given us our directive. He has said you must make sure you pay salaries and pay pensions, but you also make sure that the critical projects of roads, railway, airports, bridges, major infrastructure that are meant to drive the growth of the economy, that we consistently invest in them, even if we have to continue to borrow to do so.
This message is from the Federal Ministry of Information and Culture.
The 157-kilometer Lagos-Ibadan Railway is the first double-track standard gauge railway to be built in West Africa. The Mobolaji Johnson train station is a masterpiece, an infrastructure that is gradually becoming an iconic building in Lagos State. The modern facilities put the station on a world map of train stations. Likewise, other new train stations across the country built to world-class standards. The train and its convenience is indeed an admirable effort, with commendations from Nigerians.
This is a station that we have to commend the federal government for putting a beautiful face, empowering us in Lagos State, not only in economic and political arena.
I can say that I'm really impressed with the infrastructures in place. Kudos to the Minister of Transportations, kudos to the federal government.
Truly, good things are coming out of Nigeria, and the federal government is deserving of all the applause.
The Council of Our Fathers.
I believe we have fought one civil war too many in this country. So those who experience it will run away from it.
Nigerian youths, let's build our nation together.
From the heart of the Federal Capital Territory
to the ancient city of Kano,
from the sprawling rooftops of Ibadan
to the bustling markets of Aba and the creeks of the Niger Delta, you really can't beat the reach.
Over the years, we have kept going, keeping you informed, educated, and entertained.
And how have we survived in the very challenging year?
Because of our pillars of support, namely the 3 tiers of government: ministries, departments, and agencies,
corporate bodies and advertisers,
religious bodies,
civil society groups,
political parties, and most importantly, you, our esteemed viewers. Together, we made 2021 great.
And together, we shall make 2022 greater. Thank you.
From all of us here at NTA, your season's greetings and a prosperous new year.
The 2022 Armed Forces Remembrance Day celebration is here again. The Nigeria Armed Forces work tirelessly day and night to give us peace to go about our businesses. Some have paid the supreme price. Should we forget the families and loved ones they left behind? No.
I am therefore privileged to honor these veterans who devoted most of their lives, active lives, to securing the nation and the world at large.
So, let's support the Nigerian Armed Forces and their families, corporate organizations, government agencies, parastatals, and individuals. Let's show our love and support for our armed forces. They are our heroes. Buy the Armed Forces Remembrance Emblem and donate into the Armed Forces Remembrance Emblem Appeal account. We love you, and your labor and sacrifice will not be in vain for spilling your blood for us to live.
right, welcome back. If you've just joined in, this is Good Morning Nigeria on the NTA and time for business news. Now, on Monday this year, Vice President Yemi Osinbajo held the first meeting of the Economic Sustainability Committee, and reports emanating from that committee indicates that federal ministers, heads of agencies and MDAs are reporting improved success in the implementation of that plan. Let's join Alika Opanachi Arwa for details.
A statement by the Senior Special Assistant to the President on Media and Publicity, Office of the Vice President, Laolu Akonde, recalls that President Muhammadu Buhari had in June 2020 mandated the Vice President as chair of the Economic Sustainability Committee to coordinate the implementation of the Economic Recovery and Growth Plan aimed at cushioning the economic effects of the global pandemic. Also highlighted is the approval of the 10 billion naira by the Nigerian Sovereign Investment Authority to fund the deployment and local assembly of 200,000 off-grid solar home systems under the Solar Power Nigeria partnership between both the NSIA and the Rural Electrification Agency. Minister of State, Industry, Trade and Investment, Mariam Katagom, disclosed that while all states of the Federation have received varying levels of the 75 billion naira survival fund with its different schemes, eventually each state will soon receive a minimum of 1.7 billion naira cumulative from all the schemes. Lagos, Abia and Kano states have already crossed the bar, with Lagos reaching over 2.5 billion naira. The Minister of Humanitarian Affairs, Disaster Management and Social Development, Sadia Umar Farouk, noted that the Rapid Response Register component under the ESP has since commenced, with 374,759 beneficiaries paid so far and another 391,185 Nigerians earmarked for payment soon. With business news, Alika Opanachi, Arua.
Many thanks, Alika, for the business package. Next for us now is newspaper review.
And Bayo Atoyebe is right here with us in the studio to do his usual newspaper review. Bayo, good morning, and I see all the smiles on your face, and I know why.
You know why?
I know why.
Good morning, Claire. Good morning, Kirian.
Bayo, you're welcome.
Good morning, Nigeria.
Thank you.
Okay, let's quickly start the review before Bayo talks about why he's smiling. Convention, that's how the nation starts. Its headline, Convention, divided APC governors seek Buhari's help. PGF, Progressive Governors Forum, meeting shifted. Caretaker committee can't be stampeded. And just beneath that, why businesses are shrinking by World Bank, with the rider 2020 global forecast down to 4.1%. You want to read all about it on page 4. And up just above the headline caption, Umahi joins 2023 presidential race. Umahi is the governor of Ebonyi State. Details of that on page 28. And the picture of the late Shoneko right there for you. The flags fly at half-mast for ex-head of state Shoneko. Buhari, IBB, Obasanjo, Governor Tinubu, others mourn him. It is on page 28. And let's quickly take a look at the trending stories up above the masthead. Excitement over Tinubu's presidential bids declaration. It's on page 4. And Amina Mohammed back as UN Deputy Secretary General. Buhari Lord's reappointment on page 3. And 130 million contract, court remand, Saipen MD and others. It's on page 4. And here is the Joker picture story. It's just below the name caption. That's, of course, Ihe Nacho, Kelechi Ihe Nacho, looking up to the heavens after scoring the goal that sank Egypt in the Group D match in Cameroon yesterday. Eagles soar above Pharaohs in AFCON tie. We'll talk about it in just a moment. Leadership, we go. 2023 presidency, how Godson's allies will work for or against Tinubu. That's the lead story on the leadership. It comes with the rider. APC national leaders' declaration sparks intense debate. Like Tinubu, Umahi informs PMB of his intention to run, says he heard from God. Okay. Kalu gives conditions for joining race. Details of this on page 4, and you'll find picture stories there. Now, other stories trending. PMB, Jonathan, IBB orders Mon Ernest Shonekon. FG declares 3-day mourning. Amina Mohammed reappointed Deputy UN Secretary General. It's on page 6. And trending story on the left-hand column, that's to your right. Super Eagles make winning start at AFCON. Page 31. North Central deserves better deal from Nigeria's Sani Bello. Page 11. And Buhari OK's establishment of Diaspora Trust Fund. Page 10. World Bank predicts 2.5% growth for Nigeria in 2022. Okay, Kieran?
All right, now let's turn to the Al Jazeera, the midweek publication. The lead story says ex-head of state Shoneko dies at 85. It has about 6 riders to that. Erstwhile leader saved Nigeria will be remembered as a role model. That's according to Buhari, OBJ, and Jonathan. He died of natural causes, his family. APC, PDP mourn. His counsel were useful for national cohesion and progress. That's according to Abubakar. Alani Bankole lauds his meritorious service. Governors extol virtues of departed elder statesman. All that on page 7. FCTA sets January 17 to bar unvaccinated workers and visitors. That's on page 12. Herders dare Akeredolu as 5 killed after visit. That's on page 10. And of course, census hanging in the balance. Well, that's according to Al Jazeera's for tomorrow's publication. Now, patriotic leadership required in certain border disputes. That's according to Shebajo. That's on page 2. Now, at the bottom of Al Jazeera, we have Niger Delta reforms, achievements and prospects on page 22. Power generation to drop as PHC shuts down power plant. That's on page 25. Army releases appointment, postings of GOCs and others. Page 6 is where you get details of that story. AFCON, Nihana Chaw's strike neutralizes Salah as Eagles beat Pharaohs 1-0 in Cameroon. It's on pages 16 and 17. And maybe Bayo would like to start on that note.
With the Super Eagles, the Nigerian Super Eagles, 30 minutes goal by Kelechi Iheanacho sunk the Pharaohs in the Red Sea at Garoua yesterday.
Yes.
Is the Red Sea at Garoua?
Well, the Super Eagles brought the Red Sea at Garoua and sank the Pharaohs.
Someone said wherever the Pharaohs go, the Red Sea follows.
There you are. But the whole thing is that in that same group, the other teams, Sudan and Guinea-Bissau played draw. That places Super Eagles 3 points ahead in the team. Egypt is still struggling to have any point. Meanwhile, the Super Eagles are in very high spirits, and their next matches with Sudan and Guinea-Bissau are very prospective.
And I think what really made the Nigerians happy is not just the winning of the match, but of course the high spirit of the players, what they displayed. Okocha actually described them as, is like what we did in 1994, the same kind of crop of team, that we had in 1994, people who are highly spirited and who are determined to win, in fact, ensuring that all the departments of the game, are at alert, because what happened yesterday was not just because we won, but because we were able to contain the Egyptians, especially Salah, whom everybody was even afraid of.
Well, if you look at head-to-head, the matches Egypt and Nigeria has played, Nigeria has won most of the matches than Egypt.
Okay.
So it is not strange. But meanwhile, the nation is mourning, and the federal government has ordered that the national flag be flown at half-mast for 3 days as a mark of honor for Chief Ernest Shoneka, who died yesterday at age 85. Tributes have been pouring in respect of the head of the former interim government of the Federation. Age 85, the family says Chief Ernest Shoneka died of natural causes at a private hospital in Lagos. President Muhammadu Buhari has received the news of the corporate icon and head of the interim national government with great sadness. He says Nigeria, he says that he owes Nigeria a great debt of as a peacemaker who, even in the twilight of his life, never stopped believing and working for the prosperous democratic Nigeria. Condolences have come from former President General Ibrahim Badamasi Babangida, former President Goodluck Jonathan, former President Olusegun Obasanjo, and as well as the Senate President, the Speaker, and former persons in such capacity. He was one of 6 children of an Abeokuta civil servant. He was a lawyer and a business icon who joined the UAC in 1964 and rose to become its chairman, managing director, and a Nigerian who headed the conglomerate, which was described as the largest African control in the sub-Saharan Africa. He was the 3rd oldest surviving Nigerian head of state to be alive after Queen Elizabeth. You remember Queen Elizabeth was the head of state in Nigeria until when we had the independence, and General Yakubu Gowon.
You know, talking about the late former head of state, just yesterday, a former executive director of NT News and NT, Mr. Shola Tere, was speaking of, gave an insight of, to show how humble he was, even as chairman of the UAC. Mr. Tere said he met him at the airport when he was trying to, courier some of his tapes. In those days, you didn't have this.
You have to courier
to Lagos, and there was none. So he approached, the late former head of state to assist him, and he willingly, obliged, took the envelope from him, and then delivered the parcel, to his station in Lagos. He even added that when the parcel fell, while he was, within tarmac, that he had to bend down and pick, the envelope.
Very
so
humble,
that showed, how humble the late former head of state was.
Sadly, too, from Asaba, it is reported that about 10 persons are feared dead at Okpanam Road in Delta State, where one-story building of a Salvation Ministry collapsed. Sadly, it is said that part of the place that collapsed was housing children, and there was a service going on. It collapsed about 5:55 p.m. yesterday. 8 persons have been rescued unhurt, and 4 others have been rushed to hospital. The good thing is that emergency services have gathered there, and they are trying to see what they can do to rescue.
We just keep our fingers crossed and pray that they all come out, unhurt, alive. We just pray. We pray. It's sad. Kieran?
With respect to the collapsed building, I don't know, it's one too many in this country. We're talking about collapsed building, and this is a structure, put in place by a ministry, right, and one would have believed that the integrity of that structure may have been compromised one way or another. Nobody knows whether it's an uncompleted structure or a completed structure or part of it.
It was being used for the first time.
For the first time.
And part of it is still under construction.
Exactly, it's under construction. So for why the rush in using the place, when it's not been completed? That is the question we ask. Well, this is about life we're talking about. I'm talking about children being part of being involved in it. It's high time we stopped some of these things, because human error it has always been the case in this matter and this issue of building collapse. It's one too many. We can't afford to continue having collapsed buildings here and there, in this country.
We've been having this on our program, Bio. We've been talking about it. We've been creating the awareness and, of course, sensitizing the public and the authorities concerned on what to do. I'm sorry, I wouldn't give you more time.
Before Bio goes, sorry, let me take you back to the issue of the Super Eagles of yesterday. Yes. Because one of their ex-coaches, who was just a star player, in this country, Sondoli, said, he was so bothered about the fact that there is this craze about getting foreign coaches in this country. Because what our boss displayed yesterday shows very clearly that we have coaches who can handle the Super Eagles to any level. So he's bothered about, look, why the craze for foreign coaches? We've had a lot of foreign coaches in this country. We've just let Raw leave. And Raw, well, you could say he did well at some level. But if what he did was good enough, you wouldn't have been laid off. Right now, we brought the Guava. And the Guava has just proved one thing yesterday, that the boys can be gingered, because part of what we play in football is patriotism. It's not just the game. Patriotism.
There's something instructive. There's something instructive. Quickly, instructive. There's no nation that has won the World Cup, but it's coached by its own national.
Exactly.
All right. Please, can we take the break now?
The ever-busy ancient city of Onitsha is a commercial hub with millions of commuters seamlessly linking other states daily for business, leisure, and other purposes. To upscale its road network, the construction of a 1.6-kilometer-long second Niger bridge, including a 10.3-kilometer highway furnished with other infrastructure, has been in motion by the federal government. This project will ease congestion on the existing 56-year-old Onitsha bridge and boost the economic capacity of the state as it easily connects to other parts of the country. The completion of the world-class second Niger Bridge, Onitsha, will be one of the many proud moments of the state, its people, Nigerians, and foreign investors. Onitsha, which hosts the largest market in Africa, is geared up to boast of an impressive road network. Once again, these moments are made alive by the federal government, and it is deserving of all the applause.
The center is purposely established in order to provide these services that are examinations, medical examinations, and investigations that were not provided for in Kano as well as the entire Northwest region. It's equipped with modern technological equipment in terms of radiological services. We have MRI 1.5 Tesla. We have digital X-ray as well as 4D ultrasound equipment. The importance of the center cannot be overemphasized. Just within 1 year, the center attended to thousands and numerous patients as well as medical examinations. NKDC is established in order also to provide these healthcare facilities at a discounted price.
This message is from the Federal Ministry of Information and Culture.
The Council of Our Fathers.
My advice to these young people is please do not take us back to those harrowing days. You probably do not know what it is.
Nigerian youths, let's build our nation together.
Arise, O Nigerians! Let's applaud the courage of Flight Lieutenant Abayomi Dairo, aka the Aggressor, for his skillful and dogged escape from the bloodthirsty bandits in the forest of Zamfara State. 3 hearty cheers also to all military and security personnel who are tirelessly protecting fellow Nigerians from insurgency and banditry while maintaining peace and order. Nigerians are proud of Abayomi Dairo and all our gallant men and women in uniform for sacrificing so much to keep us safe. We admire your courage and we say thank you. God bless the armed forces. God bless Nigeria. This message is from the Federal Ministry of Information and Culture.
All right, welcome back to the program. It's Good Morning Nigeria live from our studios here in Abuja. So let's join Oyemi Ajayi with a background report on the topic for the day, which is on science infrastructure, key to national development.
The role of science and technology in a society is quite enormous for a nation to ignore. In the 21st century, the use of science and technology has taken over the space. Hence, it becomes inherent for countries to embrace its usage towards national growth, as it is known that technology is the primary engine of economic growth. It plays a pivotal role in wealth creation, improvement of quality of life, and real economic growth, as well as societal transformation. Science and technology is a major key towards the growth and development of all strata of the society. In agriculture, it aids better productivity as well as advanced farming tools which help in hunger eradication. It is also a much needed phenomenon in the health sector as it helps in solving many ailments and sicknesses, issues such as diagnosis in order to ensure good health. It also helps in child delivery and prevention of child mortality. Technology has proven its efficiency in education as it has taken learning beyond the four walls of the classroom. For example, with the existence of COVID-19, it becomes revealing that learning activities can still be achieved even outside the four walls, and with computers, internet, one can have access to a wide range of learning materials, amongst others. Security, media, record keeping, energy, environmental management, business, amongst others, are not left out in these miracles produced by science and technology. With a series of opportunities inherent in the use of these global demanding phenomena, how much has Nigeria utilized it, and what more is still needed to be done to properly harness vast potentials inherent with the application of science and technology? These are some questions begging for answers from guests already seated in the studio.
And with us to examine the issue of science and technology infrastructure this morning, here we have the Executive Vice Chairman of the National Agency for Science and Engineering Infrastructure, Professor Mohammed Haruna. Thank you, sir, for joining us this morning.
Thank you very much, Kirian. Good morning, Nigerians.
And also in the studio this morning is a Professor of Environmental Engineering and Science, and also Director, Global Institute of Energy and Environmental Systems of the North Carolina Charlotte, USA, Professor Hilary Inyang. It's a pleasure to have you this morning.
Thank you very much. Good morning to you and good morning to Nigerians.
All right, Claire.
Yes, go ahead. No, we're expecting a guest from our Bauchi studio, the Director General of NOTAP, Dr. Dan Asome Ibrahim. As soon as we have him on, of course, we'll introduce him.
Oh, okay. Well, gentlemen, it's a pleasure indeed to have you this morning, and we have a very interesting topic here. So in the past, we've had several roadmaps at different occasions. Roadmap for the development of science and technology in Nigeria. But what remains unknown is actually whether these roadmaps provided for science and technology infrastructure. And at this point, I would like to also begin with a kind of a definition. So when we say science and technology infrastructure, what are we really referring to? Let me bring in Professor Mohammed Haruna here.
Thank you very much, Kirian. When we are talking of science, engineering infrastructure, we are referring to the sum total of the soft and hard component that make up the infrastructure. The soft component, I'm referring to the human capacity, the knowledge, the quality and quantity of human beings that can turn things around. And of course, the tools and equipment needed in doing research and developmental activities to hard infrastructures of the laboratories, the buildings, the enabling environment that will enhance creativity and development of prototype, including pilot plants that can demonstrate the viability of research and developmental activities. In summary, this is what we are referring to science and engineering infrastructure.
If you don't have any further questions.
No. Let's bring in Professor Inyang here because he has international experience, right? He's been operating in the US and in South Africa. So when we're talking about science and engineering infrastructure, what do we mean here?
The professor has given a very comprehensive, and I particularly like his reference to software and hardware part of things. But in a nutshell, that infrastructure is the devising of means to extract the intellect of the citizenry of any country for the production of goods and services in a very rational and systematic way. So you can have components of that. You can have components of that in terms of program support activities, improvement of science and technology infrastructure, the physical part of the infrastructure. That is the laboratories, the equipment, and so forth that Nigeria is often lacking. And I'm sure we'll get into that in greater detail. Then there is a policy support activities, and as my colleague just mentioned, the programs to identify talent, and another program to build what I usually call a pyramidal structure in which you have the most specialized things at the very top that's needed by every country, and then you have the best, and the best must be that of science literacy of the entire citizenry of that country, because that's the enabling factor. Then you have the technicians and so forth, going up all the way to people like Professor and myself, the researchers, those who have the doctoral degrees in science and engineering. Yes, that's the whole structure, what most people refer to as a science infrastructure, and that is the difference between the technologically advanced countries and the less developed countries.
Now, Claire, before we bring in our next guest, I'd like him to elaborate on one point. You know, we had you here yesterday, and there are also some points that you raised that are somehow connected to what we're discussing today. That you played a part, you know, in bringing about a roadmap for this administration with respect to science and technology. Now, did you factor in all these issues, all these points that you have raised, you know, with a view to having this pyramidal structure that you talked about?
Definitely. I think with all humility and modesty, I am the primary author of that Nigerian National Science, Technology and Innovation Plan 2017 to 2030 that was passed by the Federal Executive Council, and that was done unanimously, and it was reviewed by at least 400 experts and organizations around the country. So that remains, as I think, Nigeria's best hope in terms of plans. And yes, the pyramidal structure is well in there and described in great detail. Not only that, how to implement, because that has been the bane of Nigeria's challenges. And in doing that, I looked at Nigeria's development plans, socio-economic development plans since 1945, and that precedes Nigeria's independence. And one of the distinguishing characteristics is that in all of them, implementation, creation and deployment of knowledge systems was a drawback.
All right, thank you. Thank you, Professor Hilary Iyan. Let's quickly introduce Director General of NOTAP, Dr. Dan Esome Ibrahim, who's joining us from our Bauchi studio. Dr. Ibrahim, thank you very much for joining us and compliment of the season. If you can hear us, let me also throw my first question to you. I'm told, well, when we are able to establish audio connection, we'll bring him back. But let me get back to Professor Mohammed Haruna, who is here with us in the studio. Prof, now that you have set the background by giving us the definition of what science, technology, and of course we shouldn't forget innovation, because it's usually ST&I in infrastructure it's all about. I'd like for you, in evaluating a vibrant and efficient ST&I sector, against what indicators, yes, against what indicators are we looking at?
Taking from what Prof has said, proper implementations of appropriate strategic plans for the achievement of science, engineering, and technology innovations. Of course, most importantly is the output, ability of the country to deploy this knowledge to ensure that we are reaping the benefits by ensuring we are not a raw material oriented economy, but manufacturing economy. Countries that have succeeded across the globe, a lot of them don't have the natural resources we have, or the good climatic condition, or our population, which is a strength. We don't lack talent. But harnessing this infrastructure to ensure a solid productive base for the economy, so that we can export knowledge, we can export product. If we have to export raw material, it should be the one that we have added value. What brings about wealth, stability and progress, peace to the nation since time immemorial is dependent on its ability to combat this structure or to utilize it in order to have or to transit to a knowledge-based economy. The richest countries are those that prioritize science, technology, and innovation and are benefiting from it. What creates wealth easily and eradicate poverty is knowledge, science, technology, and innovation utilization, and that must be given appropriate leadership and prioritization. Our experience has shown that abundance of raw materials whose prices are determined elsewhere by international situation cannot guarantee economic stability, but the ability to combat these resources. I mean, our situation, even the raw materials we produce and are God-given, are given value or converted to products which we turn out to be important. Let me not be faster than you. Figures have shown recently in the last 5 years, statistics have shown the money Nigeria has spent in importing crude oil is more than is earning in crude oil export. What sense is that? I remember one country in devising means to diversify its economy. Its oil minister said, from what has been going on, we must reverse, is such that we will have been happier to discover water instead of oil abundant in our country. That is Sheikh Zakio Yemani, former petroleum minister of Saudi Arabia. So what we are saying is that God has blessed us so much. The policy are there, the program are there. As Prof has said, I agree with him. Policy inconsistency, lack of adherence to implementation, and continuity government after government to guarantee that each development plan is appropriately adhered to has taken us to the situation we are now, that we are counted among the poorest nation in the world. It should not be. We have all it takes to be at the forefront.
Yeah, so from your perspective, because I would also like Professor Inyang to respond to that. So from your perspective, is our economy STI driven?
No.
Why not?
Well, it is not, because we fail to believe in ourselves. We fail to stick to our developmental plans over the years. And we fail to see that science, technology, and innovation is the way to go, is the guarantee, not import orientation. You know, there was a time when we say money was not even our problem. We have so much earning from oil. We have deviated from the culture we imbibe in import substitution of the 70s, of the early 60s to the mid-60s. There was an attempt, and a lot of things were assembled in Nigeria from beverages, other consumables, to capital goods such as vehicles, motorcycles were assembled in Nigeria with a view of, with time, be able to produce Nigerian own version. We rose to a level where we were not even assembling, we were importing instead. Several factories, Peugeot, Volkswagen, the Leyland, they were not doing what their program and structure was meant to do, so that within a short time, we will have fully made in Nigeria product. We have so much money that it was easier to bring the latest product in the market. And this is our situation. And as I said, I always say, I am fain that the latest technology anywhere in the world, we quickly have it. We quickly have it, be the Android, the 5G network, the latest equipment in other sectors. We are operating online banking system. Our payment system in the government cycle and this is fully automated. But then, what percentage of this is local? So what that means is that this generation and generation to come will be consumers forever. Because those that were at the same level, or Nigeria was ahead of them in the Asian tigers, and some that were classified as third world countries now transiting to even overtake the first world countries like China and India, Singapore. These places have adopted science, technology, and innovation. What does Israel have in terms of natural resources? Today they are exporters of so much technology. We are consumers of so much of their products, including security devices. I mean, what is their population? Our population, our talent should be a strength. And as Prof has excelled everywhere in the US, across the globe, all Nigerians, by the time they are elsewhere, given the enabling environment, they excel and are among the best. Why can't that happen at home? So this is the situation. STI has not been given priorities, and I agree there is attempt to give that priority as a result of our COVID-19 experience, where even if you have resources, you cannot go anywhere and import. We are forced to look inward. And I'm telling you, government has now started to apply and to utilize science and technology. In the past, there are several development plans, as he said, economic recovery and things like that, that has not factored in science, technology, and innovation. But this is not the case now. We have commenced reversing, but we are still, if you see the 2021 global index ratings of Nigeria, we are about 130-something out of 155 countries rated. So we are not one of the countries that are applying science, technology, and innovation in anything. We are only consumers of those products. And the danger of not closing your border and develop your own local first, it means you will never reach there.
If Kirian will permit me, I know this is your tough. Since the Naseni DG talked about the GII index ranked 2021, I'd like for you also to let us understand, because in that rating, it says that Nigeria is high on the inputs, on the innovation inputs. But low on the output. Yes. What does that mean?
Nigeria has the talent that is very important. Irrespective of material resources you have, if you don't have talent, you cannot go anywhere. You require human beings to combat these resources. But again, wherever Nigerians are abroad, they are supposed to reckon with. Whatever we want to do, we do it very, very well. If we want to be in crime, we are known for it. If we want to be in the innovation, we are among the best. In sport and all that, whatever we want to do, we are determined. We have the talent, we have the patience, we can learn very fast. In fact, we are even able to teach ourselves things that we are not taught. You see equipment that are built elsewhere, we have not seen it before. When it's faulty, we can repair. And even manufacturers sometimes are wondering how we are able to sustain this. Again, one of the things that makes you successful in this is abundance of resources. You can make, especially natural resources, you can make try and error. You have so much you can waste and attempt another one. These are all our input. Again, planning is also an input. Appropriate plan and with the strategy on how to implement it is an input. If you don't combat this to process it and have the result, then you don't have the output. It's scientific. It's garbage in, garbage out. So we have all that it takes to have the input, but we don't have the output. That is what it means.
All right, Professor Inyang, let's get into your submission to the federal government with respect to road plan development for science, technology, and innovation. Did it include any implementation strategy for them to, achieve all the provisions that you have made in that submission?
Yes. First, I would concur with everything Professor has mentioned, because most of those, let me say almost 100% of those were addressed in this 400-page roadmap. What is really the roadmap about? Before I answer your question, there was a critical question that was asked by Madame, which was number one. What are the indices of technological growth, or how do we measure things? Yesterday, when we dealt with the issue of Sooth in Port Harcourt here, I mentioned that activities alone are not enough. So there must be some sort of success indices. So for Nigeria, I propose this. When the quality of life of Nigerians rise, that is one important parameter. The life expectancy. You have heard that the life expectancy of Americans, something like 82%. And that of some Asians, Japan, about 85%. what is the life expectancy of a Nigerian, and what are the contributing factors to such a low life expectancy, and what is the role of technology, or what separates Nigeria from the rest of the countries that have higher life expectancy? Why is there a positive correlation between their use and deployment of science and technology into various aspects of their economy or socio-economic development, and the fact that they have higher life expectancy? So science, technology, and innovation are the engine of any socio-economic development program of any country. The extent to which it is refined and tailor-made to suit the circumstances of that country will be a factor in the elevation of the life expectancy of people in that country. That's one. And we can look at other lower echelon parameters, like my good professor talked about import substitution. Let's look at that. How many things used in Nigeria are produced in Nigeria? Accept it that in the initial stages of knowledge integration for creation of products, the quality of those products may not be similar or match the high quality of what comes from the technologically developed countries. But every country went through that. Taiwan did. When I was a secondary school boy playing football, we used to laugh at football balls produced in Taiwan. Made in Taiwan was a joke. Can we say that today? Made in Hong Kong was a joke. We can't. So in the earlier stages of framing the science, technology, and development mechanisms and methodologies of a country, the products may not match those that are imported. And at the risk of being labeled a trade protectionist, Nigeria has to find a way of banning some products that even the rudimentary models of those products can be produced in Nigeria. Otherwise, there will be no learning. Direct answer to your question, what are those things that are in the Nigerian National Science, Technology, and Innovation Plan? There are very many. In fact, the Science Policy Program support activities, research and development intensification programs, accepted. Third Fund is doing a good job. But I get worried when I hear that institutions that are not public institutions are not open. No, Third Fund should fund even private institutions, because the interest is in building the S&T base of the country, regardless of whether it is, as a matter of fact, in the United States, I used to chair what many of the panels of the Small Business Innovative Program. Without that program, some of the things that went to space would not have gone. They wouldn't have been produced, because there is the intellect of people in the private sector. And I like to remind everybody that Albert Einstein, the one that we generally think of, apart from Isaac Newton, as the greatest scientist who ever lived, learned